I don't even remember what diet I was doing, but I got up one night and grabbed like 5 saltines out of the pantry. And as I'm eating these saltines, like in my head, I've blown this diet. I've ruined it, even though I probably just ate 100 calories, but that's it, because I was off plan. So then I got out a stick of butter and literally cut the butter into slices. And I'm eating slices of butter and saltine crackers at midnight in the pantry, and just hating myself and hating what I was doing, and knowing, okay, tomorrow I'll start over again and I'll do something even harder. I'll do it better next time. The average month has 720 hours, and I had wasted a lot of them in my life. My diet was trash. My health was in a steep decline and growing exponentially worse with each passing month. At 42 and over 300 pounds, I was officially morbidly obese. It was painful to walk, and I usually didn't. Painful hip joints, painful knees, plantar fasciitis, and a minimal capacity to breathe all dictated a sedentary life. I could see the future. I knew I was going to be on a mobility device in the next few years, and I knew my quality of life would continue its downward trend.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to your Level 1 seminar.
CrossFit is constantly varied functional movements, high intensity. Functional movements are essential, so they are essential to your independent living and your quality of life. What happens when we start to lose our ability to do functional movements? We start to lose our independence. We start to lose our enjoyment of life, right? This slide from being capable, having capacity in functional movements, to no capacity is called decrepitude.
Go! And stand, there you go.
It was hard to walk, literally hard to walk. And I was in the grocery store, and I was like leaning on a cart to help me get through to do this grocery shopping. And I hit the corner of a fruit bin, and a peach fell off. And like right pretty much at my feet. But I was just gonna walk away, and I look up and there's a woman with her cart right there, like looking at me in the eye, and I couldn't just walk away. And I had to like lean on the peach bin, lean on the cart, and slowly lower myself down onto my hands and knees to get this peach, set it up on the little child part of the cart, and then climb back up. And it probably took me like 3 or 4 minutes to figure this out. And it was embarrassing. But that's when I knew, I was like, wow, if I would have just been on a mobility cart, nobody would have expected me to pick that up. And it's like, what are you thinking? You're 42. Are you really ready to, trade in the next however many years for not being able to walk? And if I look over the, 15 years or 10 years or whatever it took to get me up to 300 pounds, I figured out at one point it was only like 1/3 of a pound a week. Not that it went up linearly like that, but if I averaged it out, that's what it was. And so I just decided at that point, I can't gain another 1/3 of a pound even. I have to stay here, or get better. But I was getting to the point where I was okay with just staying there and not getting fatter.
Would you like to celebrate some of our top performances?
This is called the sick, well, fit continuum. Anything you can think of, any conceivable factor, health marker or in the gym, can be plotted on this continuum. He or she is fittest that has the most markers over here towards fit. What's fantastic about getting your markers over here is that you build a hedge against sickness. Fitness is a state of super health, if you will.
Most people, I think sickness, wellness. You don't think about there being a 3rd degree that can be even better. I don't know where I would have fallen on that sickness scale, but definitely on the other side of wellness. And knowing what it felt to live like that, and then just like slowly climbing up that, and now hopefully going down the other side. It's exciting to know that I'm that far away, when at one point I thought, if I can just not move down any further, I'll be happy, I'll be satisfied. I don't know what made me think at 309 pounds that, those people jumping and leaping and doing pull-ups were my tribe, but I'm glad I called them. At first it was just the physical, like the health changes that were just a tiny bit better. Maybe I could walk 25 steps instead of 20 without being out of breath. Or I could reach down to tie my own shoe, or I could strap myself into the rower, and realize I couldn't do this 3 days ago. Or last time I tried this, it didn't work. And I was the only one who could see that stuff at first because I was still so big. But as those little accomplishments started to add up, I could see the difference. It was like, well, if I keep doing this, well, in a year, where am I gonna be? And that got exciting. Yeah, I felt more positive about life. I felt hopeful, about my health for the first time in many years. So since starting CrossFit, I've lost about 165 pounds.
To be a good swimmer, you need to use both arms. And so to get the most out of this program, you need to do both things: nutrition and constantly varied functional movements at high intensity.
There's so many aspects to CrossFit that aren't about just doing a workout. It's about every day improving in these incremental, tiny little ways that add up to this huge change, and health that can carry you through months and years and be a buffer from sickness. It's about world-class health. I still sometimes feel like an imposter. I'm in there with all these fit L1 athletes who are going to be coaches, and I'm like, do they know that I'm just a fat person inside? For the most part, I think to them all this stuff about sickness and immobility is just theory. Like, they haven't had to try to get out of bed in the morning and have it hurt just to sit up. I realized that it wasn't about a test that you pass. It was about becoming the best you can be. I know that sounds corny. The level 1 is for people who don't feel like they belong there, because you'll know that you do by the end of the week, the end of the weekend. It really makes you feel like you're part of the CrossFit community. I'm forever grateful that the depressed, uncomfortable, sick woman I used to be had the guts to give herself another chance at life. My life, body, and mind are unrecognizable from the way they were on that day I first walked through the door. I've gone from a size 28 to a size 6. My waist is smaller now than my thigh was on day 1. I have lost over half my body weight. I'm not a smaller version of the fat person I was. My body completely changed. In November 2017, I will complete my 720th WOD, 720 hours, a month's worth of CrossFit. That month of my life has transformed me and set me on a path to conquer and to accomplish things that were beyond my greatest hopes when I first walked through that door.